honestly, the last couple of callers, I really feel the same sort of way. I feel terrified. I feel angry. And I think we're living in a fascist state. That's how I feel. I feel the government we have are super fascist. I cannot believe that they're trying to...
What do you mean by that word? What do you mean by that word? Because I'm not sure I agree. Well, I know I don't generally agree with you, but what do you mean by that word?
I just think there's a lot of pitting people against each other. They're trying to take people's freedoms away. Why shouldn't we be allowed to go out and peacefully protest? I think
because you're blocking up the... Well, no, you're not, are you? Because you've already got the rights to remove that kind of protester. All right, so, I mean, you'd struggle to make a textbook case for all the hallmarks of fascism, but in terms of criminalising peaceful protest, I'm afraid, unless someone wants to ring in and explain why that's not what's happening, then the F word I will allow in this specific context.
At the very least, we're heading that way. That's how I feel. With the cabinet we have now, the type of comments that have come from Boris and other people, and the fact that people are still voting for them, and it scares me. It worries me about where we're headed as a country. I mean, we've had a terrible few years.
But people think they want it. The extremes always triumph when people think they want the extremist policies.
That's what's scary.
Yeah.
Worrying. It's worrying. It's scary. I said to you last week when I phoned, and it was more about Meghan.
Yes.
I had said to you that I feel we're living in a very misogynistic and racist environment. And, the past week's events, I guess, have just cemented that. And I woke up on Sunday morning. I could not believe what I was seeing with the vigil. I just felt sick. And it just hits at home. We're told, as we're called lefty snowflakes or whatever. I mean, I'm definitely on the left.
Woke this week,
whatever.
Woke this week.
But I don't understand. I think, there's empathy on the one side and a complete lack of on the other.
Well,
and
they need a culture war, and even though one side doesn't recognise any of it, that they're going to get one, because this is cancelling. They're introducing laws to silence peaceful protest, and yet cancel culture is supposed to be what people like you do.
Well, this is it. And they want, they want freedom of speech. They want to be able to say
Where are all those broskies? Where are all the freedom of speech broskies and the classical liberals? They must be up in absolute arms today. And I need to keep saying, I know most people following events don't need this reminder, but if you just tuned in or you're pretending not to understand, then the COVID thing changes everything. In the context of whether or not people should have been gathering in a public place, it's a slightly more nuanced conversation, a much more nuanced conversation than it would be. I'd rather nobody did, but I certainly wouldn't have the front to say that to a person, a victim of racism who wanted to march in favour of Black Lives Matter, or a victim of sexual violence who wanted to attend a vigil for Sarah Everard on Saturday. But I do retain a conviction that would have been better if none of these. It probably would have been better if none of these things had happened. But that's a conversation for a different day. This is about bringing in laws because you've persuaded the population that type of protester is a wrong 'un, without explaining to them that the laws will apply to any type of protester at all.